Report from the United Health Foundation is comparing health statistics around the country. This year, Minnesota seems to be doing pretty well in that ranking in the top 5. The report also breaks down what each state is doing well and where there's room for improvement. And to help us understand those stats is Dr. Lisa Saul, the National Medical Director of Women's Health at United Healthcare. Dr. Saul, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Whenever we start to talk about these things, I'm like, okay, let's start with the good. So what are Minnesotans doing right?
Well, one thing Minnesotans are doing really well is getting good sleep.
Okay.
We're seeing in the report that we are not lacking for sleep in this state. Also, we have a low incidence of food insecurity, which is something that we don't see across the country. We've moved up in ranking as well from number 6 last year to number 5 this year, which speaks really well for the state and its overall sense of health and wellness that we can experience here.
What does it seem to be that we need to be working on?
One of the things that stood out to me that we need to be working on is we have an excessive amount of excessive drinking. So we've gone up in the alcohol consumption since last year, as well as an increase in the number of premature deaths. So this is men and women, accidental and otherwise.
You know, how can we start to make some changes in these categories? Because I think for some folks, it's really hard for them to navigate how to put something in action to have a different result on paper, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things that we saw in the report is that in Minnesota, we have a lower incidence of people being able to identify a dedicated healthcare provider. And so one of the things that we can do is make sure that we are identifying that primary care provider to help us navigate along our healthcare journey, identifying things before they become critical, and that can improve our overall health.
That's so good because, I just moved here not too long ago and trying to figure out, which doctor, which health system, it's like that. And before I let you go, we do specialize in women's health, and more good news, Minnesota is ranked number 1 in that category. What does that mean?
Well, there's a lot of good things that are happening in terms of women's health. One being women's and children's health. One being that we're seeing a lower infant mortality rate. We are also seeing a lower incidence of teen pregnancy, which is really good news. And we're seeing that has been on the downslope over the last several years, which is very encouraging. We do still see the disparities, however, in terms of maternal health outcomes, particularly in African American and Native American Indian women. And that's something that as we look at the broader scope of what we need to do to improve, that we can pay attention to.
Thank you so much. We'll continue to check in with you because these are important things for us to know.
That sounds great.
Oh my